Talk on the street says that a very explicit tape of Beyoncé and Jay-Z making out is making its way around Hollywood. Since Diddy, Jay-Z's best friend, was found to be a creep, Beyoncé and Jay-Z have been all over social media. Fans think that the Carters wanted to stay away from Diddy because they think he has bad things to say about them. If you want to know what kind of dirt Diddy might have on them, keep reading. Not too long ago, a well-known attorney purporting to be representing a few victims against Diddy made a daring accusation, claiming to have an incriminating video showing Beyoncé in a compromising position that appears to be a freak-off. There are unconfirmed rumors that the tape is being auctioned off and that Jay-Z is willing to pay $500 million for the footage to spare himself and Beyoncé embarrassment. But how did the tape get out? And did Diddy really record Beyoncé without her knowledge? Let's break this down. We haven't seen any actual footage of the couple, but we have seen some pictures, and girl, those pictures are crazy AF. I'm not even joking. One of Diddy's alleged victims leaked some pictures that they secretly took at the parties, and it had everyone shook. As shocking as the pictures were, people who have seen the alleged Beyoncé video are saying that is way worse than anything we have ever seen, and this kind of makes us wonder what exactly was going on at them freak-offs, even though the rumors of Beyoncé being at the freak-offs have been around from the moment we learned about the freak-offs. It wasn't until a couple of days ago that we learned that she was allegedly caught on tape at those parties doing some very, let's say, interesting activities. This was first reported by a lawyer named Ariel Mitchell Kidd, who had an interview where she talked about how she's going to be filing a say lawsuit against Diddy on behalf of one of her clients for obvious reasons. Ariel couldn't name the client, but when she told her story, it sounded very similar to all the stories of the women who have accused Diddy of set his usual M. One of the women says she met Diddy in 2018 while hanging out with a friend who knew Diddy and other important people in the music business. During her time there, she says Diddy spiked her drink with something inanimate and then made another guy sat her while he watched and loved himself. So does the woman say that Christina Coram, Diddy's helper, was right there and saw it happen but did nothing to stop it or help. Ariel says that this is what happened for her client.
And told me a very horrific story about her and her escape from the assault. She told me that she was at a friend's house who had industry ties and was on the phone with Diddy, and he decided to come to the house. And when he came to the house, everything was fine, that there was another woman there who we've determined to be Christina Coram, KK, who Diddy talks about a lot as his like right-hand woman, if you will, and that they were discussing her. And then that led to her being served a drink where then she started to feel woozy, and then Mr. Combs assaulted her with an inanimate object, and then actually directed another gentleman to her while he watched and pleasured himself.
She went on to say that the claimed victim had gotten out of the induced haze and ran outside the house while pleading for help. Fortunately for her, one of the friends heard her and dialed 911.
So she was able to escape eventually and ran out into the streets yelling and screaming, and a neighbor heard her because this happened in a quiet suburban neighborhood, if you will.
So there's a witness?
Yes, we have a witness. We also have a police report, and that was made in 2018, that she, when she initially filed the police report, she didn't name Diddy out of fear of retaliation, and more importantly, fear that no one would believe her.
Right.
So she then updated that report, and we've been working with law enforcement to have them actually look into that report. They didn't do too much then, but now they are looking more closely at it.
All right, so let's slow that down just a minute. So when we talk about what happened in that house and she's running out to the street, I can see it as you're describing it so well. Did she call the police right away? You said that obviously that there is a police report, but is she calling 911? Is she going to the neighbor's house? Can you give us any more detail about what happened?
Sure. What she did was, as she's running out the house yelling, a neighbor saw her and invited her into the home.
Okay.
And it's the neighbor who then called the police, and the police did come out at that time. They also stated that they heard cars screeching, and the neighbor went outside and saw a black SUV leaving the premises very quickly. And by the time the police arrived, of course, he was no longer there.
Well, was the neighbor able to identify who it was?
The neighbor wasn't, only that they saw the car leaving, and
Okay.
they only described the truck. They could not tell who was inside, but she told the neighbor at the time who it was and why they were leaving so abruptly.
She must have been terrified.
However, surprise, surprise, despite the fact that the cops were called, they did not act or even question Diddy. This is not shocking in the slightest because there have long been rumors that Diddy has the police in his pockets and has been paying for years to have his supposed crimes forgotten. Additionally, Cassie and Lil Rod expose him in their cases for allegedly using intimidation tactics to manipulate and scare his victims into keeping quiet, sometimes even threatening to kill them.
And due to the high-profile nature that it was Mr. Combs who did this, she was afraid for her life. She was concerned that if she was to come forward and say something, that no one would believe her, because we're talking about 2018 when Mr. Combs was still pretty much at the height of his career, still very much so an icon and influential figure. So she's just a young girl from Northern California who's gonna believe that he had done something to her like this. So she didn't tell anybody. She did not hire an attorney. All she did was make the police report in the hopes that maybe the police would try to investigate and come up with anything. But she said she kind of felt from the police that they were disregarding what she was saying, even without saying Mr. Combs' name.
Do you know if he was interviewed? I mean, he was named in the police report?
I don't think so. Based on what she said, she really felt that the police were trying to bury this and disregard her claims and not really investigate, which is another reason why a lot of victims don't report these things to the police. We have to address the elephant in the room is that we have victims, especially women, who go to the police, who are typically men, who don't actually investigate these things. They victim blame, they victim shame, and women don't feel safe or even protected to even make these claims because they don't think they'll be taken seriously, nor will their claims be investigated.
Right. Well, your client should be proud of herself for filing that claim and making that call and going for help.
Didn't end there. According to Ariel, she was just approached by a different customer who asked her to help in arranging the sale of a video that featured one of the most well-known celebrities in the business. The celebrity, according to Ariel, was clearly unaware that they were being taped.
I also was just recently contacted by someone who wanted me to essentially represent them in the sale of one of the Diddy tapes. So, which I declined that because...
Wait a minute, say that again. Say that again, back up. You're saying that there's tapes and they're being shopped?
Yes, there have been people already shopping.
We've heard about the tapes, but
yes.
The shopping thing is...
Yes, there already have been tapes leaking around Hollywood, being shopped around to individuals in Hollywood. But one particular person contacted me to shop a particular video they were in possession of and to contact the person who was in the video to see if they were interested in purchasing the video before it became a public knowledge.
I've heard this before, so like a catch and kill.
Catch and kill, correct.
Wow, can you, and I guess you can't reveal the person who is on
No, I
tape.
can't explain who the person was, but
High profile?
Mr. Combs was in the tape, and this other person is, I would venture to say, more high profile than Mr. Combs.
Really? Really? And you've seen it?
I've seen stills of the video.
Okay.
So
you can verify
that it exists, that it's real, that the other person in the video is very visible. It's no question if it's that person in the video, and I can tell the video was graphic in nature.
Oh my, all right. So we know that he videotaped a lot of activities at his home, did he? And it sounds like there was probably a lot of hidden cameras as well. Is that what is being talked about?
Yes, this was actually in his Atlanta home, at a home he had in Atlanta at one point. And it does seem that the person isn't like looking into the video, so it's, to me, doesn't seem like that person knows they're being videotaped. It doesn't seem like they're active participant in the videotaping, like they're being surreptitiously recorded it.
After a while, fans began to unearth receipts from other celebrities who claimed to have seen the star in question at Diddy's parties. For instance, in the interview the baby gave, it seemed as though Beyoncé might have been trying to put the moves on. After all, she is one of the very few celebrities in Hollywood bigger than Diddy, and we all know how close she and her husband Jay-Z are to the rapper.
I was at a party at Diddy crib in LA. This was the beginning of 2020. You know what I mean? Diddy had put everybody else out the crib, like the influx of people, he had put them out. But he had took a liking to me in particular around the time, man. It was really, you know what I mean, like putting his arm around me.
Right.
So he had put majority of the people out, but he allowed me to stay in there. Me and, you know, maybe about 15 others, you know.
Right.
Jay-Z and Beyoncé being two of the other 15 people in the room. So that'll just put into perspective of the type of company I was in at the moment, And she came over and introduced herself to me like as if she had to. Beyoncé, cut it out. But I'm a big fan of your work, you know what I'm saying? Whoop the whoop, and that was just dope. That was dope as hell to me, man. That was.
Fans, however, also brought up the episode in which Diddy forced some of his artists to walk for over 4 hours in order to get him a cheesecake. At the time, we assumed that Diddy was just acting strangely and trying to exert his power over his artists without any justification, but Freddie P recently disclosed in an interview that the cheesecake was actually for Beyoncé, not Diddy, and that Beyoncé allegedly forced Diddy to force the boys to get it for her.
Okay, fun fact a lot of people don't know, that cheesecake we went and got was for Beyoncé. She was upstairs the whole time. What we was talking about again? Hold on. Yeah, that's a fun fact people don't know. People like, y'all walked and got a cheesecake. It was for Beyoncé. I'll do it again. But yeah, because at first he was like, I want some cheesecake. But we took all night to do the process, right? So when we got back, it was like 4 or 5 in the morning. And me and Dallon got back first. Let me tell you how green these niggas is. So I'm the type of nigga, I listen to everything you say as if it's a contract. So if you say, walk to the store, or walk to get me some cheesecake, I'll walk to get you some cheesecake, but I'm not walking back. And that's just what me and Dallon did. And they like, why y'all, they hot. Like, y'all cheating. And we like, he told us to walk. He didn't tell us to walk back. So we already in the hotel like 3 hours before they got there. When they said they was coming, we went and met him in front of the building. And the first thing that nigga said out of his mouth, he said, we got the cheesecake. He was like, I want that shit, take that shit upstairs for Beyoncé. Then he said, they was like, yeah, man, we wanted to tell you, Fred and Dallon, they ain't walk back. Trying to be on some snitching shit. He's like, I ain't tell you niggas to walk back.
But that's not all. Earlier this year, Jaguar Wright revealed that there was a recording of Beyoncé in a sensitive circumstance. She said that Beyoncé had been surreptitiously recorded because she was unaware that a camera had been present in the first place.